At any moment, we could get an official word from Major League Baseball on the fate of Alex Rodriguez. Now, it's expected that the Yankee slugger is going to be suspended this year, all of this year, and all the way through 2014 for his alleged use of performance-enhancing drugs. Doug Eldridge is managing director at DLE agency, and he joins the company now. You know, one of my favorite movies, Doug, growing up was The Defiant Ones. In this case, it's The Defiant One. I mean, A-Rod gone down swinging.
Absolutely. No pun intended, right?
No pun intended. But what's the deal with that? Is he taking the right tact on this thing? Should he have just cut a deal with the baseball league and say, I'll sit out the year, I'll take my shame? Because it feels like the consequences are going to be the same, except the public relations aspect of this gets worse.
Well, there's a two-part answer there, and here's why. First of all, assuming that he's not punished under the CBA, but rather under the joint drug agreement, then there's a key caveat there. And that means that during the course of his appeal, he's still allowed to play games, which means he's still drawing a paycheck. Whereas if he were punished rather directly under the CBA, he's not allowed to play, and therefore not drawing a paycheck. So number one, in terms of the actual appeal process and his decision to do so, it's critical once we hear this announcement insofar as how the punishment was constructed. Now, if you're talking about the second part of that question, then we're not really talking about the pseudo-judicial process within Major League Baseball. We're really talking about the court of public opinion. And we've seen over the last couple of years with other prominent sports stars that can be incredibly damning, from Tiger Woods to Lance Armstrong to just this past Friday when Ryan Braun had his Nike contract terminated.
Okay, Ryan Braun, though, did take his medicine. And maybe there was some advantages for him to do that now because he's got a new contract that kicks in. But this can't be about money at this point for A-Rod. I mean, it's got to be about something else. What do you think he's fighting for?
Well, that's a great question, and I think there are a couple answers. Number one is the obvious. It is about money. Alex Rodriguez still has nearly $100 million remaining on his existing contract. Now, I think it's important to point out that he already has $40 million waiting for him as deferred compensation from a prior Rangers contract. So he's already got $40 million coming down the road, as well as an astounding 9 figures remaining on this Yankees deal. Right. So if he were to be put out of the game, and I put that in quotations under the context of a suspension for the remainder of this season and all of next, then we're looking at essentially nearly $34 million. So a substantial amount of money. So it is about money.
I guess what I meant, though, and with respect to the idea of trying to play during an appeals process, I mean, it feels like no matter what happens, he's going to miss at least 1.5 seasons. So wouldn't it be smarter? And you talked about Tiger Woods. He just won his 5th tournament. Nike didn't drop him. He's starting to get back into the public's good graces. A-Rod takes the field, and people are going to boo the heck out of him. I mean, I don't see where he wins by not taking the hard medicine now.
I understand what you're saying, but here's what I'd point out. Tiger didn't have a lot of people that were standing up and cheering when he walked to the tee box his first tournament back. That's part of the rehabbing process in the context of damage and image repair, right? Now, I would distinguish Tiger from Lance, from A-Rod, being that Lance at that point was already retired. He didn't have the opportunity to come back and get on the bike and show what he could do athletically, and in that sense, put the past transgressions behind him. Tiger has ostensibly several years ahead of him where he can win even more tournaments. So, too, potentially is the case with Alex Rodriguez, right, who's nearing 38 years old. Now, he's coming to the end of his career. Right. His hits are obviously, his bat's slowing up. His fielding is still somewhat on par. We're going to see how that hips holds together. Right. But the big difference there is that he's still on the field. He still has the opportunity to influence people with his play. All
right, Doug, we'll see. I think it's going to backfire him on him PR-wise, but you're the expert. We'll see how it plays out. Thanks a lot. No pun intended again. Hey, U.S. embassies, they're closed across the world because of a specific terror threat. A direct